Good morning, spiritual bedheads. How's it going today? I know a lot of you are going back to work. Have an amazing day. Click. Anytime you see this mug coming out, if you're new here especially, this now, okay, so if you, well, first of all, hi, I'm Karen. This is I don't know, we're kind of figuring out what we are on this channel, but because it's only been around for like 2 months. But I am having spiritual conversations around things that are happening in the world, let's just say. Okay. So it's a spiritual channel, but not ignoring the difficulties of things that are happening. Okay. And pointing out things from what my truth is, basically, how I'm seeing things. And then right now, especially, I'm pulling out the dowsing rods in the morning even. I don't think I'll do this forever. I haven't done it, Coffee with Karen, for the first 30 days. I did Coffee with Karen, which is pretty much every morning. I might skip a morning here and there, but... So, if you see this mug coming out from now on, just like tarot readers have a card for like Trump, they have a card for Harris, they have a card for Biden. This is my Trump card, or my Trump mug. And it's not to be mistaken with him being old, okay? It's not because he is of older age, because I am not into devaluing people because of their age. I think it should be completely the opposite. The elders in our community, in our society, have so much wisdom, and I think we should value that. So this has nothing to do with him being old. It has everything to do with his behavior. Because his behavior, he's acting like an old fart. And that's just a very kind way of saying he's acting like a narcissistic a-hole. But because, it's just more fun to say old fart. That's all there is to it. Not to mention, I have a mug that says old fart, so that's what we're going to use. So, oftentimes in Coffee with Karen, my preference is to be having, more spiritual conversations, just like really looking at ourselves a little bit more. Coffee with Karen, and by the way, it's my whole channel is flow of consciousness. So if that is hard for you because you're used to editing all the edited videos, people getting to the point right away, all that kind of stuff, that's just not what happens on this channel. It's just, I'm very flow of consciousness. And so it's just a FYI for anyone who's new. Okay, so you're like, what's going on here? Why? I don't understand what's going on here. Most people don't do that. So, and so I have a community of people who understand the flow of consciousness and are open to it. And so I so appreciate you. You guys are amazing. I mean, just feel so blessed to be able to have these conversations with you. And everybody is so positive in the comments and just processing things. That's really what this is about, okay? It's processing life from a spiritual perspective is really what I'm honing in on, And then digging into some spiritual topics, which we do in the Spirit Circle, which is the membership. So in the membership, there's no political talk or anything like that. It's about us, like as spiritual beings having a human experience in the membership. So yeah, so we're just last night we did a live. It was really fun. Answered people's questions live with the SGs, the spirit rods, my spirit guides. So we're just really kind of figuring things out here, and the flow is just, I'm letting my spiritual guidance guide this channel, which is how I encourage all of you to guide your life. And that's what we're exploring. How do you let your spirit guides, because we all have them. If you're new here, we have asked, if you want to go to my playlist, Start Here. It's called Start Here. And there's some really introductory videos asking questions about spiritual, asking questions of the spirit guides, basically. And people on the channel, some of them were my questions, and a bunch of them were people from the channel. And in fact, I have another one to do. Just like, do we all have spirit guides? How many do we have? All this kind of stuff. What are they for? So anyways, welcome if you're new. If you like this, we truly appreciate it if you subscribe. I might move it up there actually, because somebody made a suggestion, and I don't know. I'll have to probably put it there. Because when I'm doing angel card readings, it is getting in the way. And it's hard for me because I'm trying to get away from them. So I think I will put it, just a reminder. It's just your reminder right there. So I'm feeling like an internet sleuth. I never thought I'd be an internet sleuth. But it's really interesting because I'm starting to make notes here for myself, and you guys should do the same thing. Connecting the dots. So you can see what's on my Connect the Dots list so far. If you want to look real quick. Now, I've done videos on each of these things. So yesterday I did a video on election interference. I have a video that's actually quite popular in the sense that people are leaving a lot of comments and questions on the fog, the stuff with the fog and the drones. I have a whole three-part series on the drones where we ask the SGs about the drones. I asked the SGs, spirit guides, about the fog. So you can go back to those videos. What's really fun about the videos, you guys, and this is what I love about this community, is you guys are sharing your own ideas and your own you're connecting your own dots, because that is your intuition connecting dots, okay? And that's all I'm doing, is my intuition is connecting dots. We're trying to trust our intuition. It doesn't mean it's always right. It's just what is making sense to you. And so you could go into the comments and see what people are saying about that. Now, we do ask that everything stay positive, and it's from your own perspective, understanding that. We won't tolerate any kind of hate speech or anything like that. If that's not what this channel is about. Not even close. In fact, the opposite. Well, anyway, so the connecting the dots, I think what I was going to say is that we will get back to Coffee with Karen. That's more looking at things that go on in our personal lives, let's just say. We will get back to that. But I think in January, it's going to be, I think we're in for an interesting, interesting may not be the right word, but we are in for a time where we may need to be processing the stuff that's going on outside of ourselves. So in Coffee with Karen, normally I prefer to be processing things that happen within each of us, individually, life experiences and stuff. But this time right now is definitely shit's going down. It's going down. And I'm very, very aware that while this stuff is going down, that people are getting hurt. Okay. So that is not to diminish that people are getting hurt right now because of the shit that's going down. So we always want to keep that love and light, try to send the love and light to everybody who's being affected by this, because you never know, the 3D might come knocking on our doorstep, you know. My sense of, especially law of attraction, is that if you stay, okay, so, and I am going to keep explaining this because there's new people here, plus I'm trying to figure it out myself, so, you know, and I actually haven't, and I will get to the connecting dots, but this is all part of it. This is the flow of consciousness that I was talking about. Okay. So I've been taking these notes on like what is feeling good for me to understanding this whole timeline, 3D, like living in 3D reality versus 4D reality versus 5D reality. Okay. That's something we're going to be talking about quite a bit because it's something that I'm trying to figure out. But this is what I have written down so far. Okay. And then this has to do with the connecting the dots. So there is a point to this. Okay. So just bear with me. Because this is where I'm bringing in the spiritual part of the conversation, of the hard stuff that's going on, because it's helping me deal with it, and it's helping some other people deal with it if they're open to these kind of ideas. Okay? So you basically, again, this is my way of interpreting this. We have three options of ways we could live our lives. Okay? You could either live your life in option 1, which is in the 3D timeline or the 3D reality. Okay? And in the 3D reality, let's just say it's over here, because you go right to left. Okay. It's hard for me because this is the way I would go. So the 3D reality is just, it's watching the stuff on Earth that happens, watching the stuff in your life that happens, that's on the drama side, the gaslighting, the manipulation, the politics, okay, and getting sucked into them. So if you're in the 3D timeline, you're getting sucked in, okay, which I was like 2 months before, like the whole time before the election, I was on the 3D timeline, man, I was living in it. And we all do. This is not a thing, not everybody does. There are many people who choose not to. But I would guess most people that are coming here are finding themselves living in the 3D timeline and trying to make sense out of it and feel better about it, right? So that's where it comes to. You can't get rid of the 3D timeline. We're on Earth, right? You can't get rid of it. You came here on Earth as a spiritual being having a human experience, and that's the stuff that happens on Earth. That's why some people I hear, and I've even thought of it myself, is, Earth can feel like hell sometimes. If there is a hell, which there isn't, because the SGs, we've asked them, that it can feel like, oh, okay, well, if there's a hell, this is it right here, this 3D. Okay. And that doesn't mean always, but it's where all that crap happens. Okay. Then you have the 4D and then the 5D. And the 5D is kind of like living in the ethers, let's just say. And it really is a beautiful place. You just really kind of go through life, not paying attention at all to the 3D. Not paying attention at all. Okay? And which is beautiful for some people. If that works for you, And when stuff happens in the 3D, even in your personal life, you don't get sucked into it at all. Like, one, you don't even pay attention to the 3D from here, but you also don't when stuff happens in the 3D, even around your personal life. Okay. And I'm talking like someone gets ill that you love. So I don't know how many people actually hang out here, but even if this is my interpretation again, and I would love your interpretations because that's what the community is about. It's not about Karen's right at all. It's a processing. I'm just processing. Like I'll change my notes over time, especially as you guys leave more comments, because I learn from you. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. So even if you're in the 5D timeline and somebody gets an illness, which is really 3D, illnesses don't happen in heaven, let's just say, or on the other side. Okay. So the question is, well, if you're living in the 5D, the chances of you having a serious illness are probably pretty slim because the law of attraction there is real. And so you're going to be attracting really positive stuff over here, like just real, you probably are not going to have an illness yourself. But if you have somebody in your life, which unless you're living like a hermit, you might have some people in your life, or maybe you don't have people in your life but not by choice. But so if you get somebody who's ill in the 3D and you can stay in the love and the light about it and you can stay neutral about that illness, then you're really living here. Okay. But I would like to know if anyone's able to do that, especially someone you love, Or if the 3D came knocking on somebody's door, let's just say you were walking down Bourbon Street yesterday and somebody you love got hit by that truck and is no longer and decided their soul contract at that point was their soul contract. That was time for them to cross over. Okay. But if you're in the 5D and your loved one just had that experience, then it came knocking on your door, basically, right? The 3D came knocking on your door. So are you able to stay neutral in love and light? No ego whatsoever. I mean, I don't know. Who does that? Who? I mean, on a permanent basis, permanent. So the goal for me is, because this seems impossible for me and not as interesting, because the fact is I came to Earth to have a human experience and I want to have one, but I don't want to live here. I don't want to live sucked into this constantly. Okay. I guess this is turning into a timeline conversation. I said we were going to talk about, I'll have to make sure it says that in the subject line, because then people get mad if I don't get to I'll have to do timeline and then, okay. If I don't get to the point right away, people get mad. Which I don't blame them. I mean, it's like, if I put a subject, it's like talk about the subject, right? So I'll make sure I put timeline in there too. So what my goal is, and what my goal is with this channel, is to help people, not to help people be here, okay? Because I'm not here, and it doesn't mean I'm never there. Sometimes I am. But I'm looking for option number 2, which is the 4D, okay? And this is how I've described it. And this has to do with, like, there are a couple channels that I'll always give credit to for helping me understand this 4D area. Well, the one especially is called Archangel Raphael. So she's a channel. Archangel Raphael channels into this person who runs that channel. Okay. So she is the one, she did a video that helped me, like, boom. Oh, I get it. Or should I say Archangel Raphael helped me understand it. So 4D is the middle way. It's the way of unification, okay, which is beautiful. It's the way of unification, unifying the 3D, okay, and the 5D. Okay, it's bringing it together. It's a bridge between heaven and earth, which I love that. So it's a bridge between heaven, the 5D, and earth, the 3D. Okay, I love being the bridge, We can all be the bridge, right? Exploration, so we're exploring the 3D while staying in a state of neutrality, which means we go, huh, that's interesting. But we're not full of fear. We're not full of, we might even be like, wow, that's another, interesting dot to connect to my, my little, you might even have a little dot thing going on on a chalkboard or, a cork board with the strings. You could do that for what's coming up in 2025. We should do that. Put this mug, just take a picture of that mug, put it in the center, and then put all these lines, connect the dots. But we're going to do that from a state of, that's interesting, from that perspective, the neutral perspective, okay? We're not going to, I make fun, I call him an a-hole and whatever, but I don't feel that he's an a-hole. Does that make sense? I don't feel hatred towards him anymore. I did. I was really sucked into the 3D, and I felt really angry. And I know you did too. I know a lot of people did. And some people still are. But here's the thing, feeling angry about that is not helping you. So I'm helping myself, okay? So I'm not ignoring it. I'm not ignoring it. I'm too curious to ignore it. And that's the human experience, okay? But I'm really choosing to stay in a state of neutrality unless that 3D starts knocking on my door. Then I'm going to, I might have feelings about that. And that's okay. Okay. So that's the reason I say that, is to not discount people who are having that experience. Like I said, people are getting hurt. And I don't want to discount that experience for them, the people who are getting hurt and their loved ones, to say that that's not important, because that's freaking important. And I want to support them if they're getting hurt. Okay. So like even just energy wise, support them. I don't want to say, oh, well, we're living in the 5D, so that doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. It does matter. Just because it's not knocking on your door. And you can do this with anything. You can do this with hunger, the lack of funds, health. There's a lot of people living with pain. You could do this with anything. So I don't want to discount anybody, because I have pain. I have, these things happen to me, So when the 3D comes knocking, we don't want to ignore that. We want to support people, because it's going to knock. We're having a human experience. So when it comes to things, though, that are outside of yourself, like things he says, or, things that the stuff he's creating for himself, because if you look at what happened yesterday with the Tesla truck outside of the 45 tower, he's creating, okay, well, I have theories about that. So, you know what? I'm going to call this video Timeline, and I'm going to do a second coffee with Karen today. Because it's already 24 minutes. I've been wanting to do a timeline video. So I'll come back and I'll upload another one. So, okay. So so we can look at, if we're in a state of neutrality unless it's knocking on our door, we're in a state of neutrality, and that's our goal. Okay. Because then that's when we talk about get the bowl of popcorn out, Yeah, we can feel free to sit there and be like, what's going on? Because it's not knocking on our door, and still have concern for those that it is knocking on their door. The people, yeah, on Bourbon Street yesterday, they had it in their soul contract that is how they were going to cross over. Okay. That's not to say that we don't feel bad or send light and love to those around that person, those people, because they're having really hard experience right now, and we want to acknowledge that. So, but you can acknowledge that in a way that doesn't tear you up inside. Okay. Because if you're living in the 4D, you're not torn up inside. All right. Especially with stuff that's not happening to you directly. Okay. So we can look at it, get the bowl of popcorn out. Boy, this is interesting, but not engage with it. Don't get sucked into it, which means I was getting sucked in before the election, man. I was over looking for people who were talking about 45. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I thought I was like doing my political duty. That was one way to do my political duty, was to call people out on their whatever they were thinking about. And it's like, oh my God, I wasted so much time doing that. I wasted so much time. It didn't matter. They didn't care. They probably didn't even see it, and it didn't change their mind, I'm sure. So if you're still doing that, or if you're doing that on the opposite, like yesterday, I did the live last night, and we had a couple trolls in there apparently, and we call trolls who come in and say stupid stuff about Harris, let's just say. It's like you're wasting your time. You're totally wasting your time. Go learn something. Go learn something and contribute something positive, But I get it. I was not doing that. And so what you want to do is observe the drama, but don't get sucked into it. That's the question, is how to do that. So to stay at a higher vibration, these are on my notes. See, I've got this written down because I've been trying to figure this out for myself. To stay in the higher vibration, you look for the truth. You feel, okay, so I think this did come from Archangel Raphael. I can't say for sure. So I always liked, if I got something specific, I don't know if I got this from a book or I should have written it down. Like sometimes they're my ideas, and then sometimes this one is definitely not something I wrote. So the higher vibrations, look at the truth, feel the truth, accept the truth, and learn from the truth. And you can keep your higher vibration by looking at the truth from a neutral perspective. You can feel the truth, like, don't ignore it. It's like, yeah, that really sucks. I was on Bourbon Street a year ago. In fact, my niece and her husband were on Bourbon Street a couple months ago. It could have been them, So feel the truth for a minute. Just don't get sucked in. Don't sit there for too long. Okay? Accept the truth and then learn from the truth. Okay? The way I learn from this is to keep reminding myself that people have soul contracts. That plane that went down in South Korea, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? I mean, it's amplifying. Have you noticed? And those people all decided before they came to Earth that they would end their life path together. Okay. That's how I choose to see it. And I can ask the SGs at some point. I think this is getting a little too long. I probably won't pull them out for this, but well, I can a couple questions. I'll ask a couple questions. So yeah, that's what I understand, is that they all ended. So I can look at that and go, oh, that must have been horrifying. So I feel it. I'm looking at it. I feel it. Like that must have been a horrifying experience. But what I would like to choose to believe, because I've read this also, is that when something like that is happening to a human being, our spirits leave our bodies before we have to experience something that intense. Okay. So if I had a loved one on that plane, that is where I'm going to sit with that and trust that my loved one's spirit left their body before they had to experience the last 60 seconds or whatever like that, because that just seems horrifying. So that is what helps me fly, actually, because it's, if you get into the real feelings of flying, and like if you get sucked into the possibilities, okay, because it just, the number of planes that go out every day, the percentage of the planes that come down are so small that for you not to fly for that reason is really, it could limit your life, if you're choosing not to fly for that reason. But I know people have real fears about it, and I honor that. But the way I deal with that is, because I can get a little, especially when there's turbulence and all that kind of stuff. But I choose to believe that if this is in my soul contract, one, there's nothing I can do about it. Okay? So I'm going to trust that if it's in my soul contract to go down on a plane, that's how I'm going to pass over, that I did it for a reason, and I'm going to trust that I did that for a reason. Okay? 2, I'm going to trust that I don't have to have, that I can choose to leave my body before before that last 60, whatever, you can choose to leave your body. So I believe that's something I've heard over and over from spiritual people who channel, that is an option, and that we can do that. Okay. So that is how I, I had an acquaintance that I worked with, knew her, I knew her quite well, but she passed over. Her soul contract ended in a helicopter doing a tour in Hawaii, like a helicopter tour. I mean, that's freaky. In fact, what day is it today? The 2nd? That was like 4 years ago in January. It was like the year of COVID. Anyway, so I don't quite know where I was going. I had an end point to that plane conversation, but I think we can if you look at your whole life from accept I have a soul contract, be at peace that you had a soul contract, because your soul contract is something that you agreed to with your spirit guides. They're here, they're supporting your soul contract to help you through this 3D experience. If we can just say, I have a soul contract, and that's amazing, because my soul contract is helping humanity somehow. And my soul contract is unique to anybody. I'm the only one who has that exact soul contract. So if you can accept that, for me, it brings a lot of peace, actually, because it lets me stop trying to control my entire life experience, not obsess about, let's just say getting cancer or something. If I am meant to have the experience of cancer, then I'm going to have it. But am I going to worry about it until then? No, because I'm going to trust that my soul contract is having me have that experience for a reason, So that's just kind of how if I, and then trust that. I think most people, my guess is, this is how I feel, and I, just from having a lot of conversations with people or listening to people, my guess is most people are not afraid of actually being dead. It's how they're going to die is most people are afraid of. That's how I feel. It's like, ugh, But I trust that that God, the universe, our spirit guides, the exit, I don't think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, especially if you have some intuition about this, or you have guides you're speaking to. I don't believe, and this is just because I choose to, I don't believe that the exit it has to be horrible. Meaning, I think, again, our spirits can leave our bodies before our human body has that final experience, you know? And so with that, I can feel more at peace about it. You know, if I'm going to have a heart attack and that's how I'm going to pass, like, to me, that just seems awful, you know? Well, all of it does. There's just not one scenario that doesn't seem awful, right? But if I can sit in that space, then I don't have to I can feel calm about it and just trust that our spirit guides will take care of us at that final moment. They've been taking care of us our whole lives. Why would they not take care of us at that final moment? You know? So if you've had loved ones that have passed away tragically, for me, this conversation would really help to know that. More so than for myself. Because when I have to think of an experience someone had who passed tragically, that stays with you. That is hard. So if you can get to the neutrality of it, the 4D, if you can get there and understand that there's way bigger things going on, and that person, that loved one that you knew had a reason for like God and that loved one, their spirit and their spirit guides and their guardian angels had a reason for them exiting that way. That brings me a lot of peace. And then to know that they took care of them, not even when they got to the other side, but before they got to the other side. They took care of them, trust me. We'll ask the SGs right now. Because I think this is going to help a lot of people right now who are grieving and have been living with, there's so many of us. Most people know somebody who had a tragic ending. And a lot of times it's hard for people to let go, you know? Okay, because this is flow of consciousness, I don't have questions prepared because I don't know what questions I don't know what questions I need to prepare. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides and guardians, and ask Archangel Raphael. No, what? Oh my gosh. I looked at his name on the notes and I'm like, I don't usually use our Archangel Raphael, but hi, Archangel Raphael. Hi. I ask Archangel Michael to please protect this channel so it's only of the light. Amen. But Archangel Raphael, you are so welcome here. Hi. Okay, when they swing that way, that's their yes. Can you guys show me a no, please? And that's a no. Okay. So, spirit guides, I'm talking to my spirit guides. Good morning. Good afternoon, good afternoon. They don't have morning, but they know what I'm talking about. So can you please answer some questions for me that from a place of truth? Because I just was talking about higher vibration, looking at the truth, feeling the truth, accepting the truth, and learning from the truth. But we need to know that you're telling us the truth. So like some people will think that this is because my bias, like I want to believe that. So when you tell me things, again, I'm talking to them. When you tell me things, are you telling me things only because it's stuff that I believe in? No. Okay. I need to trust that, and I don't always know that, to be honest. But can I trust that? Okay. What I do know, though, I'm talking to you, the audience now, the community, not audience. I don't know why I say that. You're not an audience. You're a community with me. I love community. They're like, yes. See, I get distracted from saying that. If I say one word like audience, and then I'm like, what? You're not an audience. I forgot what I was talking about. Can I trust had to do, let me go back. It had to do with me trusting that this is not just coming from my own vibration, you know? Okay. Can we trust that you are telling us whatever you're telling us because it's on a need to know basis? Yes. So even if we hear something positive now that we find positive and it turns out negative or lower vibration, are you telling us what we need to know right now? Yes. Are there times where you tell us something that turns out the opposite? Yes. Okay, so we have to remember that. So I'm learning that. I've been working with them for about 8 years, but I'm really learning so much in the last couple months because I've never worked with them this much, as much as I've been doing since I've been on the channel. So my intuition is telling me the more I work with them that sometimes they're not like, sometimes that's why I don't like doing dates, because dates are, it's a whole thing. So, but they're going to tell us what we need, what is in our best interest right now. And if they don't answer, then that's in our best interest right now. So they're going to tell us, if they give you, yesterday during the live, people were asking some personal questions and some of the answers were hard to hear. They were hard to hear for me. And then I felt, which was great, because then I could say to the community, please hit a bunch of hearts right now and just send that person a lot of love. And hopefully you felt that if that was one of you folks. But you may have gotten an answer last night that hurt, okay? But they may have given you that answer, and the result of it may not actually be what will result. But they gave you that answer because they need you to have that answer right now, because they want you to do something with it. They want you to do something with it. And I don't know what that is, that's for each of us to figure out, right? Am I spot on with that, you guys? Okay, so the answer is yes. Okay, this is just me learning more and more, tapping into my intuition, and boy, have I been growing so much because of the work I'm doing on this channel and you guys allowing me to do it, and being a witness to it and participating with it. It's just, again, amazing. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's just ask some questions here if I can remember what my conversation was. That's what happens with flow of consciousness. I don't even remember half the time of what I even talked about. So you guys, what I discussed in terms of the outline, the options 1, 2, and 3, the 4D being the middle way, the way of unification, the bridging between heaven and earth, is that a place? Is that where us as humans can find peace on earth? Yes. Are there humans that are living in the 5D? Yes. Is it a small percentage of people? And again, what I'm talking about is a loved one dies tragically around you and you stay neutral. That's what I'm talking about. So you can live in the 5D a lot, but the minute your loved one tragically passes over, can you stay neutral? There are people who do that. I mean, that's incredible, because they understand, right? Because they have taught themselves over and over again. They weren't born, I don't know, are there some people who are born being able to stay in the 5D? Oh, wow. Okay. Yes. Wow. Can't even imagine. I feel like that's something we have to really learn to do, but I guess there's, okay, so people would say, like, was Jesus able to live in the 5D like most of his life? Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense, right? Because is it because Jesus had a direct connection to the other side, basically? Was Jesus, the answer is yes. Was Jesus a medium? Okay. Was Jesus a modern day psychic, basically who we call a psychic? Yes. Could Jesus manipulate energy? Yes, because we all can. Can all human beings do that? Yes, we all can. We can all access that. Okay. So Jesus, anybody now that you see is channeling, are they any different than Jesus? Okay. No. Okay. Are you starting to, again, these are questions I've never asked before. So, okay. So I know I ended my flow of consciousness. Well, let's ask, but I can't, I'm sorry, I can't remember. So this is what happens in the channel now. You get to, if you're like, Karen, I really wanted to know what you were going to ask. I really wanted to know the answer to that. So put it in the comments. We collect all questions. So, and we keep them on a spreadsheet. So at some point, I will ask that. We try to, especially I do a community call out in the community tab for certain topics. And we try to do those within a couple days. So ones that are, like now I have a whole list of more spirit guide questions. I have a whole list. It's just waiting in it's waiting in the spreadsheet for me to get to it. And so we have a Trump's soul contract one, which I'm really excited to do because I want to learn about his soul contract so that it'll help me stay more neutral about him. That's why I want to do it. So, because the more you can understand, the more you can look at the truth. We've already felt the truth about him, but now we can learn to accept the truth about him because if we understand his soul contract more, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Wow, this is 40. I mean, this was crazy. I did not expect to talk about this today. I was going to talk about the connecting the dots. But I feel like this was more important, which I'm kind of glad about because I didn't want all my coffees with Karen to be talking about the 3D stuff. All right, I really wish I could remember, but now, again, it has nothing to do with my age either. It has to do with flow of consciousness. When you're in flow of consciousness, or let's say channeling, like I feel like part of that conversation was channeled. I don't hear anything, but they can inspire. If you ever have a conversation with somebody and you're like, wow, that was really profound what I just said. I don't even know where that came from. It came from your spirit guides. Seriously, you're channeling. That's what it is. That's been happening to me my whole life. Every once in a while, I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm just so in deep with it. And I'm like, both of us, our guides are channeling with both of us. And I'm like, oh, wow, wow. How did I just come up with that thought? Yeah, that's you channeling. You're channeling, So like right now, I think I just channeled a lot of that. I have notes in front of me, but the stuff, how I was interpreting it, because you're like, I'm going to trust that my guides are talking to some of you out here. Some of you needed to hear that today, especially about people who died. Oh, that's what I was going to ask about people who died tragically. Okay, you guys. So tell us the truth now. We need to know if you're telling us the truth. Okay. Because we want to be able to deal with this. We want to look at the truth. So we need to know that you're telling us the truth. Okay. Okay. So I was talking about people who died tragically, right? Okay. So they said yes. So is it true or not? Is it true that people who die tragically, the human experience, the experience they have as a human is that part tragic as well? Okay, good. Okay, so what I was saying, that their spirit leaves the body. Okay, wide swing no. Wide swing no, you guys. So when someone has a tragic ending, what we would consider a tragic ending, let's just say on a plane, then their their soul leaves their body before they have that experience? Yes. Okay. So I think there are people here who really needed to hear this today. Because this whole like tragic ending thing, and it it's the New Orleans, the plane crash that led me here. But I never really talked about this before, like the tragic ending thing that way. So I think there are people who really need to hear this. I think most people have somebody who's passed tragically. And it could be tragically, a sudden health. And sudden could be like, like my mom got sick, and died like 2 months later. That was fast. That was very tragic to us. So, okay. So what we would feel, let's just say, okay, let me ask this question. If our soul, okay, did everybody on that plane that went down in South Korea, was that a part of their soul? Every single person on board, that was part of their soul contract to cross over that way? Yes, wide swing. Okay. When the plane was going down, did they feel tremendous fear? No. Thank goodness. Okay. So if you're afraid of flying, I think you can start to trust that. Trust that, hey, if you're meant to, if your soul contract chose that, then bless it. Bless it. So we're talking about people who die tragically and how to deal that as someone who loves them. And we're also talking about just fears we have of our own, So is it because their soul left their body, right? Is that why their soul leaves the body before they have to have such a traumatic experience? Is that correct? My hand actually went like that, but I didn't do that. It just, they're like, yes. It's interesting. It doesn't do that often, but okay. Okay, so now this could be a whole nother video on people who die tragically. So if you have questions, that could be a title, the SGs answer questions about people who die tragically. Because to help us not to be dramatic about it, not to, it's not a murder mystery thing. It's a helping us as human beings find peace about that. So I feel really good about that message for this channel, is helping us as humans find peace in the human experience. I'm going to write that down. Okay, so finding peace in the human experience. Ooh, I think that's going to be my subject line. Finding peace in the human experience. Do you think you'll click on it if I put that? All right, so this is getting kind of long. I don't know if I should do a connect the dots today. I think I might have to wait till tomorrow. Because it's just a matter of bandwidth. Like, my audience, my community, how much time do you have to watch me? I don't know. I might have to. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I will and just put it out this afternoon. So, all right. Have an amazing day. I hope this was helpful. I love this kind of conversation. I don't know why I wake up and I'm immediately talking about these things. That's never been in my DNA to be like that. I usually wake up and be like, get my coffee, watch TV, or have to go to work and not want to talk to people for an hour, till I wake up. But all right, have an amazing day, and we'll see you. I don't know what I'm doing tonight. I think I am going to do the Trump soul contract thing tonight. Or maybe it'll be I don't know, connecting the dots with the SGs or something. I'll have to think about it. All right, have an amazing day. Bye-bye.